Hi, my name is Donna. The film that you just watched was based on true events that occurred in my life. I hope you walk away feeling empowered. Thank you so much.
My name is Ruth Glenn. I am the CEO and president of the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. It's been a circuitous journey, but this is my fourth year in leadership of the organization, and I couldn't be more pleased.
Survivors get to assess what's safe for them, and it's not always leaving. You know, we have the hashtag Why doesn't she leave? And my only response to that, my best response to that, is that sometimes they can't leave, and sometimes the best safety for them is not to leave. But if they are leaving, what we need to make sure as a local community, as a national response to it, is to make sure that they have everything that they need to be able to leave. Mm-hmm. As we know, some victims and survivors are they suffer financial abuse, which means they don't have any finances to be able to do that.
Exactly.
Some of them have other issues that prevent them from doing that. Some of them have children, such as yourself, that make it very difficult to assess that it's best if I leave with my children. So there are many barriers to victims and survivors leaving. What I like to say is victims and survivors get to make sure that they're safe, and sometimes that safety means not leaving. Mm-hmm. So how do we support that?
It's important for survivors to know that there is help out there. Yeah. That there's someone that, there's organizations they can go to and to be, get to a place where they are safe, where they can bring their children. And when I was in the position and trying to escape was probably the last thing on my mind, yeah. Because trying to survive every day was just difficult alone, mm-hmm. In itself. Not knowing, not having a job, not having my education at that point, having family, but keeping everything a secret,
right.
And not really revealing what was happening to me at that, during those times. I was really only fooling myself, but when you're emotionally and mentally and physically being abused, you don't think logically.
You are showing that you can get through this and you can have a voice, but most importantly, it is not your fault. I love what you said about not thinking logically. Well, it's even more than that. I think it's that you can't think logically.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. And I think that you've done a good job of explaining that and showing that it is not your fault, but that when it's safe for you, you figured out how to make it the best for yourself, and got through that. So
that I was actually sicker than the abuser. I knew in my head, somewhere deep down inside, that everything that was happening to me was wrong, but yet there were times that I felt I can't take my kids away from him. Mm-hmm. I can't hurt him like that. And also the fear of not knowing whether I was going to live or die. The threats of being, someone saying to you, "I'll kill you," yes. is something that you don't take lightly.
Right.
And I, of course, I wasn't just worried about myself. I didn't know what would happen to my children.
Absolutely.
When I realized that I really needed to get out, and I just started to strategically, very quietly, the way I always was, and still am pretty much, I had to figure out a way, I was sort of like a ninja in the night.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what, every little step that I took, what can I do to
yes.
get through this.
I talk about how the abuser has made us feel sick, but really what they've done is they've disempowered us.
Right.
So more and more you lose power, and you lose what other people may see as logical or practical. So when that happens to us, we're no different than, a prisoner of war who may be going through the same thing.
Exactly.
How do I make sure that I can do this and do it in a way that I'm not in any further harm?
Right.
And I think we don't honor and recognize that enough in victims and survivors.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you've encapsulated it perfectly by what you just said, that ninja. It's because that's what you do. When you finally determine something is not right, and you have the ability to begin to piece it back together, is very empowering.
Well, being able to come out of the situation, and thank God, being able to make my dreams come true.
Yeah.
I realize that that's probably the most important thing as far as I'm concerned in teaching my daughter or my sons and my grandchildren that you have one life to live, and you are the most important. Unfortunately, that's, yes, other people are important, but you have to remain the number one in your life, and never let anybody or anything get in your way and have your dreams, taken from you. That you need to just, and again, respectfully go through this life, but that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love about teaching and what I do, that I know that I have, made an impact on some students. They've come back, and and I do always think about, I do work in an area where we have situations very similar to what I experienced, and I know, without even speaking to it's the students, I know exactly what's going on
absolutely.
as soon as I meet them.
Absolutely.
So I do take my experiences and use them, in a positive way.
Right. How does it feel to be a part of this and having your son bring this screenplay to you and really want to showcase your journey like you all have? How does that feel?
In the beginning, it was very surreal. It was almost like I couldn't believe that, thinking back, that having no voice and always afraid to, voice my opinion or say that I was hurting or tell anybody my inner feelings. It's taken some time, but I actually am so grateful that he has, that he looked at the experience not in a negative way, that he saw the importance of getting the message out there, that, even if you find yourself in situations, no matter, whether it's abuse or any type of hardship, that there is a way to turn it around and to find the positiveness in it and to move forward.
Our work is not directly with survivors, but you're right. We do all that we can to make sure that those that do provide services to those who are enduring the type of abuse that you've endured and I've endured have the best tools to support victims and survivors. But we also, we do a lot as far as lawmaking and policy and that kind of thing, because we need to have a society that understands domestic violence. And whatever we can do as an organization to make sure that everyone from Congress to an advocate has everything that they need to make sure that they support victims and survivors in the best way is what we do.
Well, I know, as a victim and survivor, and you don't really feel that you have those supports, and most times you don't seek them until it's too late. And I think that the message should be that people need to know that it's out there.
That's right. So one of the ways that we encourage friends, families, victims, survivors, and advocates to get what they need as far as tools and resources and referrals is go to our website, which is www.ncadv.org, www.ncadv.org. But we also know that for victims in particular, there's crisis. And what do I do?
Right.
What do I do when I know that I only have 10 minutes or that I only have one day? We suggest that they call the National Domestic Violence Hotline.